Front nine, back nine, or eyeing the 19th hole, wherever you are in life, Hostplus can help you drive your retirement further. That's a plus.
Looks good, man. Dude. Are we in slow motion, too?
Welcome to Talk Birdie to Me with former world number 16 Nick O'Hearn and Tour Pro Mark Allen, live from Titleist and FootJoy headquarters. And thanks to our great partners, Hostplus, the official retirement partner of Talk Birdie to Me. Driving a BMW is like hitting the perfect shot. Smooth, controlled and powerful. Titleist, the clear number one ball in golf. FootJoy, the number one shoe and glove in golf. Better, when the greats bet, they bet with Better. Ping will help you play your best. And the Golf Clearance Outlet, who beat everyone's prices. Now, here's Nick and Mark.
G'day everybody, welcome to Talk Birdie to Me. Today for Hostplus, we're hosting Nick, one of Australian golf's absolute legends, top of the tree.
Indeed. Can't wait.
Let's get Peter Senior on the phone immediately.
Hi Mark, hi Nick.
Mate, thanks for coming on our podcast. You're one of our favourites. We speak about you a lot as being just somebody we absolutely love, and we all admire your golf game. I mean, it was one of the greats. Can we start by how you got into golf?
Well, I was about 11 years old. I was over in Singapore. My dad was in the military. He was based in Singapore for 8 years. And on the army base, they had a 9-hole golf course, and that's pretty much where my brother Jeff and I got started.
Okay. Wow. Hey, I was always told that when you were an amateur, I know you turned professional very young, but when you were an amateur, you made more birdies than any amateur golfer in Australian golf history. That's how it was relayed to me. What made the game easy for you, do you think?
I don't know. I think, and you guys would know the same, that when you get involved in this game and you get hooked, you just practice every day. I didn't have a very good school life because I was on the golf course all the time, but I just loved the game so much that, when I was 15 and 16, I was shooting 65 regularly. So I was making a lot of really good scores at that sort of age. So, and I couldn't wait to turn pro.
That's unbelievable.
It is amazing.
And now 66 years, you're probably still shooting your same scores now, right? 65, 66? Shooting your age every time.
Well, another 10 years, I should be able to shoot my age.
Yeah, I know you've broken it many times from what I've heard. But one of the most impressive things, Mark, is Pete has won golf tournaments, pro golf tournaments over 5 different decades.
It's amazing.
That is scary, from the 70s to into the 2010s, basically.
It's outrageous.
It's phenomenal. Now, we had Ian Baker Finch on one of our Hostplus episodes, and I remember reading his book, and he was playing Troppo Tour for quite a while. You were on the Troppo Tour with him, Is that right? And
yep.
Tell us about that experience and what it was all like.
Well, we all started pretty much together. We had a good crop of young guys, Paul Foley, Ian Baker Finch, myself, Jerry Taylor. There was probably about 10 of us, Aussie Moore, that played on the tour that they call the Troppo Tour, which was a Pro-Am tour that went all the way through Queensland. And some of the courses were so bad that we just learnt how to play off crappy grass. So anytime we went down to New South Wales or Victoria, we thought we were in heaven. So
how easy is this?
Well, it really developed our short games because you had to be creative, and that's why Finchy and a few of the other guys did very well because, the imagination that the guys got from playing on these bad courses. But it was a great ground to prove your golf game, to improve your golf game, and, I think that did us the world of good.
I always remember you, Pete, for being fearless on the golf course. That's the way I remember you as a golfer. There was one tournament you won. I always forget the name of the golf course. It's in North Sydney. It was you, me and Glenn Joyner were in the last group on the last day. And halfway around, you had us beat. And Glenn and I were looking at each other going, can you believe he's starting the ball over water and bringing it back to these pins? what do you remember about your best golf? And maybe even, that golf you played in 1989 where you won every big event we had.
89 was probably the best period of golf I've ever had. I had 5 or 6 weeks where I just believed that I could not hit a bad shot.
Unbelievable.
And you guys would know, you go through periods where your game is pretty good and you'll have great days and then you'll have a mediocre day. I had 6 weeks of the best golf. The Australian Open that I won at Kingston Heath. We had a great field. We had Faldo, we had Seve, Curtis Strange, and Norman and a few of the other great Australian players. And, to win by 7 shots around Kingston Heath, and that was the start. I'd won the PGA a couple of weeks earlier in Sydney, and then we went to Royal Melbourne. And the first round, I can remember, I had about 32 putts for 7 under. So, my ball striking was so good. The first green that I missed at the Australian Open at Kingston Heath was the 16th hole on Saturday.
Oh, my God.
That is ridiculous.
Oh, my God.
That is off the charts.
52
I've gone
greens in reg.
51 holes, 51 or 52 holes without missing a green.
Oh,
so
that's insane.
That period there, and I've never had that feeling again.
Now that's it. It's so good when you get that feeling, isn't it? And you're talking about having 32 putts for 18 holes and having 7 under. Now, you're actually the reason I went to the long putter, because I was watching this guy win everything with the long putter. How did that come about for yourself, and when did you start with it?
Well, I was over in Europe at that time, and I played in the Italian Open, and I played with Sam Torrance. And this was the first time that I'd ever seen the long putter being used. And Sam putted really well for the first 2 rounds that I played with him. And I got to play a practice round with him at Woburn, which we had the British PGA Championship, or the British Masters, I should say. And after the practice round, I said, "Oh, Sam, you wouldn't have another one of those that I could try?" Because I wasn't putting too well. And he said, "Listen, I'm going home tomorrow, and I'll bring the prototype, and you can have a little bit of a muck around." So I shot 74 the first round, and then I got the putter off Sam in the afternoon. I practiced for a couple of hours on the putting green. Then I practiced for an hour in the morning. I went out. I hit it on the green about 15 feet on the first hole. Hit a great putt. Didn't make it, but then I hold a 30-footer on the next one across the second hole's a terrible par 3 down the hill.
Yeah, I remember it.
And I crossed green with a heap of break, and I hold it. Ended up shooting 66 for the day, and it stayed in the bag for the next 20 years.
Unreal. Hey, Pete, I was there, and I've forgotten who asked you the question, but someone picked up that putter, and it had scratches and all kinds of stuff all over it. And, you were flying. You'd won so much cash and you'd won so many titles and, you were a superhero. And I forget who it was, but someone said, "Pete, why don't you get yourself a new putter?" And your answer was, "I like looking down and feeling poor." That's what you said. Can you remember saying that? I mean, that feeling of being grounded?
Yeah, I can. But, the prototype that it was Harold Swash. He was a guy who developed a bit of putting stuff over in the British Isles, and he was a good friend of Sam's. And it was just an old $2 phaser head from Taiwan, and just an old licoricey. Oh God, it had a lot of swing in it. But on quick greens down in Melbourne, when they got hard and fast, it was the best putter on quick greens I'd ever come across. So that's why I played really good when I went to Melbourne.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, as I said, 5 decades of wins. Yeah. I think the most impressive thing, though, about Pete, and
this is big,
and I was the victim on a couple of these, was he won the Australian Open, the Australian PGA, and the Australian Masters all over the age of 50. Probably the most impressive one I remember might have been that day at the Lakes when they had to suspend play for a while, and it was blowing an absolute hoolie.
I reckon your son was caddying too.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think
he was.
Mitch, I remember the day because I went out, I think the first 8 holes I was 3 under or 2 under. I was playing lights out. I mean, it was, no one was under par. The wind was humping and all this. No, the first 9, I think I went out in a couple under. And I'm moving up the leaderboard, getting right towards the top. And then they call play just as I hit one way left on 10. Just as I do
It's
it,
a nightmare on 10
I think
too,
I make
doing
double
that.
or triple as the horn blows, and that was the end of me. But then, Pete, you made your run that day. I mean, that was some of the most unbelievable golf. To be able to do it, I guess, over the age of 50 especially. I mean, how did you keep yourself, I guess, golf fit and in that mindset?
Well, let's go back a little bit. It was 1997, and I'd played the Cannon Challenge at Terry Hills, and I played with Peter Lonard the last day. And Pete, at that stage, was just playing great golf, won a couple of Australian Opens, and he played from tee to green as good as anybody I've ever seen and shot 71. I hit it all over the park. I got it up and down out of ball washers and bloody boats in the lakes and got him by a shot. And we did the presentation, and Gary Edwin, who was coaching Peter Lonard at that stage, he came up to me and said, "Oh, well done, Pete." And he said, "You don't look too happy." I said, "Gaz," I said, "I've just lost the enjoyment of the game." I said, "Every time I stand over the ball, I feel I'm going to miss it." And he said, "You just won the tournament." I said, "Yeah, I realise that." I said, "But there's no enjoyment in the game." And he just said to me, he said, "You want to get that enjoyment back?" I said, "Mate, I'd give anything." He said, "Meet me at Palm Meadows," where he was, on Tuesday. So the next week I went to Palm Meadows and he showed me all the old footage from all the old golf. And I decided to take my chance with Gary, and he resurrected my career and kept me going through those tournaments in the 50s. I played really steadily over in America for the last 6 years that I was on the Champions Tour. But to win those three events, and as you said, the Australian Open at the Lakes, the weather was pretty bad, and I've always been a really good mud runner. So whenever the conditions got really hard, and you were talking about the 10th hole there where you hit it way left, I hit driver down the 10th on Sunday. I was 2 over par the front 9, and for you to shoot 2 under the front 9 in that wind was just unbelievable.
I was playing lights out.
So I figured, so I figured I needed to sort of make a birdie quickly to sort of get back into the mix. Ended up birdieing the 10th. I shot 2 under the back 9 in that breeze, and probably the most favourable victory, because I had Mitch, my son, on the bag. I said, I'll never forget it.
Yeah. Hey, Pete, what was the message? I know Gary Edwin got you back in, but what did he get you doing? Where had you gone wrong in your golf swing? I mean, obviously everyone listening today is a mad golfer. We all love the game. We're all trying to get better day after day. Where you ended up, where you weren't enjoying it, what things did Gary have you work on that got you back in love with golf?
Well, my swing's always been, when I come through the ball, the body always straightened.
Yeah.
Now, when I started playing really badly, I was taking the club so far inside that when I got to the ball, I just had no room. So, all of a sudden, I got to a point where I couldn't hit it. I was coming so far inside. So I just, he just got me standing there really straight, got my body position a bit more, set forward. And he said, just swing your arms. And all of a sudden I started to hit a few decent shots. And from then, it's history.
There's a famous picture I've got somewhere, and I'm going to find it and give it to you, Dan. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see it. You're at Augusta. You're behind what looked like the 17th green to me, and you're chipping backhanded. And I reckon you chipped backhanded for 10 years before anyone else worked out you were chipping backhanded. You were the first person to do it, Pete. You were the first person. Tell us about that transformation. And did anyone pick it up?
Yeah, a few guys did, but, golf is that sort of game where if your mind's not in it, it can do some terrible things to you.
Yeah.
And I just lost my confidence with my chipping. I'd sort of flubbed a couple, and I'd blade a couple, and, I tried to devise a way to get it on the green. And I started crosshand chipping, and all of a sudden I started, especially if I had a long way to go, a lot of green to work with, I could hit a low runny chip, and all of a sudden I started to chip very well. and I used it for about 8 years. And I still did very well. I chipped fantastic, and I got to a point where I could actually cut it up doing crosshand chips. And, as we've all seen, Fitzpatrick chips cross-handed now, and, he chips very well as well.
Stuart Sink as well. There's quite a few players chipping backhanded now.
Yeah, there is quite a few. There's a guy I help who chips one-handed, so whatever works, really. Now, you didn't get to play many Masters, just the one, I think, because the world rankings back then didn't get you in maybe, but you played a bunch of the other majors, especially the Opens. I noticed you were tied fourth, I think, in 93 when Greg Norman won there at Royal St. George's. Was that the best chance for a major, you think, or was there other opportunities?
No, that was pretty much it. I finished sixth at Lytham St. Anne's one year, but I got to a point, I played with Nicky Price the last day, and I birdied 14, 15, 16 to get to one off the lead where Norman was at. Yeah. And I hit a 4-iron into 17 to about 10 feet. And I figured if I made par up the last, I'd have a chance. And I ended up missing that one, and 18 played into the wind, and, I missed it left and made a bogey. But Norman ended up birdieing 14, 15 and 16 as well. So, but at that stage, I thought I had a chance, and that's pretty much the only one that I figured I did have a chance.
Yeah. Pete, fantastic reliving your golf career and your golf swing and everything else. I mean, not only that, Pete, I mean, for people who know you and played with you and were around the 90s on our amazing little tour that we used to have back then, you weren't only a brilliant golfer, but you were a brilliant person to be around. You and your wife, June, you were a fabulous family, and we only have great memories. Now, Pete, we're going to take a short break, but Nick tells me that you've got a story about the King of Spain, and I've got a story that I've heard you tell about when you were wagging school as a kid. So can you tell those two stories for us when we finish after the break?
Yep, certainly can.
Righto, a break and then back with Pete Senior.
All right. Front nine, back nine, or eyeing the 19th hole, wherever you are in life, Hostplus can help you drive your retirement further. That's the plus.
From Titleist and FootJoy headquarters, this is Talk Birdie to Me. We're here for BMW, luxury and comfort for the 19th hole. Hostplus, the official retirement partner of Talk Birdie to Me. The golf clearance outlet, they beat everyone's prices. Ping will help you play your best. And better, ahead of the game. Now for Titleist, the number one ball in golf, and FootJoy, the number one shoe and glove in golf. Here's Nick and Mark.
All right, welcome back. Thanks to Hostplus. We are speaking with Peter Senior, one of the greats of Australian golf, and Nicholas. I want to hear these two stories again, mate.
Well, I heard it a while back, and for all our listeners and viewers, it's one of the greatest stories I've ever heard. Because I was going through your career a little earlier, Pete, and I'm seeing you one in Monte Carlo, and I thought, hang on, was the story about Monte Carlo about Monaco? So please just let us know what this was.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. It was 1986, Monte Carlo Open. One of the first years that I was over on the European tour. And I finished third in the tournament. Now, Monte Carlo, if you've got to picture this, Monte Carlo's down in a little bit of a bay, and the golf course is built on the top of a mountain that they've cleared. They took the top off this mountain and built 18 holes on the top of this mountain. It takes you 40 minutes from Monte Carlo to get to the golf course on all these winding roads.
You're kidding.
These switchback roads. So there wasn't enough parking up there. So what they used to do is have all these shuttle buses. They had about 10 or 12 shuttle buses that left from the casino in the middle of Monte Carlo and went all the way up to the course, dropped you off, and then came back down and picked up the next guys. So I'm in about the third last group, and Sevi ended up winning the tournament. Mark McNulty ran second, and I tied with about two or three other guys.
Right. Nice.
And because I was last in at third, they asked me to stay for the presentation. And I said, "Oh, yep, okay, no problem." So I'm sitting on the dais, and I don't know, I'm 25 or something, and I don't care about anybody else but myself. But I am sitting next to Sevi Ballesteros, and I'm thinking, oh, geez, how good's this? One of my first years over here, and I'm sitting with Sevi, and they do the presentation. Now we have to line up and go down the mountain, and there's probably 150, 200 people waiting to go down, and they've only got these 10-seater buses. So they're all lined up just outside the fence on a pretty narrow road, so you couldn't really get two cars. So everybody was lining up. They'd fill the first bus up, and that bus would go, and then they'd fill the next one up. So I'm sitting down on the side of the road, and all of a sudden I see out the back of the clubhouse where they had all the television stuff and a few for VIP parking, a few cars started to come out, and they pulled up behind the buses and waited. And I looked up the road, and about 30 metres up there's one guy, and he's in a white sports car, and he's on his own. And I thought, bugger this, I'm going to ask this guy to have a lift down the hill.
Right.
So he's talking to an official, to a policeman on the other side of his car. And as he gets closer, I make eye contact with him, and I go, "Hey, mate," I said, "is it all right if I scab a lift down the hill?" And he sort of looked at me as if, I'd spoken a different language. Yeah. And I'm thinking, scab a lift. Can I get a lift down the hill? And he goes, he sort of looked around a little bit and he said, yeah, no problem. So I walked up to his car, and just as I got near his car, two doors of this black Mercedes-Benz opened up behind him, and two huge guys got out. And he sort of turned around and he waved to them, and they got back in the car. And I'm sitting in the seat beside him, and he's still talking to the police guy. And as we're moving up, all these people are taking photos and they're pointing, and I'm thinking, shit, how good's this? I said, I finished third in the tournament, and I'm waving to them, and and I'm sort of, how good's this? And so all of a sudden we're off and running. He turns over and he goes, "Hi, Prince Albert." And I go, "Yeah, mate, and I'm the King of Spain." and he started laughing, and then it sort of hit me. All these people were taking photos of him. He's got his bodyguards behind, and I spent the next 2 minutes apologising to him. And so we finally get going. We're going down the mountain. We're having a great talk, and he goes, "What hotel are you at?" I said, "I'm at the Marabou Hotel." Now, all the hotels in Monte Carlo got courtyards where you drive into the courtyard and you drop off and then you drive back out. So as we drive in, as we're driving into Monte Carlo, everybody knows his car. So I've got the royal wave going. I'm waving to everybody. So we pull into the hotel, and there's about half a dozen people waiting at reception. And they'd start nudging each other as the car's coming in so they know who it is, right? So I get out of the car and I said, "Thanks very much, sir." I didn't know whether to call him Your Majesty or whatever. So I said, "Thanks, sir." I said, "Very good of you to give me a lift down here." And he said, "I hope you come back next year, Peter." I said, "Yeah, I'll definitely be here next year." And he drives away, and I made sure he was out of earshot. And I go, "Thanks, Al." I walked past these six people, and they had no idea who I was. It was so funny. But that was probably the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Now,
that's hilarious.
The other thing I heard a little bit later here, Mark, and I'm not sure, but you may have told that story to some people, might have been like Terry Gale or someone like that.
Yeah.
And I don't think they believed you. Is that right? Can you sort of tell the end of that?
Well, yeah. Thanks for prompting me. It's
because this is a beauty.
Because there was a second part to it, and I've told this at a few golfing dinners, and quite a few of the guys said no, it didn't happen. And right. So anyway, in 2001, now this is 17 years later, 15, whatever, and Terry Gale wins the Monte Carlo Senior Open. And they have the presentation at the Palace, and who's on his table? Prince Albert.
Right.
Right. So So I saw Terry at Heathrow Airport a couple of days later, and he said, he told me about who he was sitting with, and he said, all I wanted to do was ask him whether this was a true story. And he finally got his chance. After everything had finished, Prince Albert came up to him and said, Terry, well done, congratulations. He said, excuse me, sir, I've got to ask you, do you know a guy named Peter Senior? He said, oh, the King of Spain.
Very good.
Oh, that's brilliant. Now, Pete, just one more. I know you're in the car. You're dropping grandkids all over the place. But I heard you tell a story. Now, it resonated with me because I used to wag school as well to practice golf. Yep. But tell us this story because to me it was just such a beautiful tale.
Well, it all started when we came back to Australia from Singapore. My older brother Jeff's 4 years older than I am. And he was starting to play some good golf. He won the Australian Schoolboys Championship. He represented the Eisenhower Cup for the amateurs. So he started to win quite a few good amateur events. And I said to myself, geez, this game must be pretty easy. So because he was doing so well at it. So all of a sudden I got hooked. Yeah. And I started when I was 14. When I just turned 14, and by the time I started on a 42 handicap, and in 18 months I was down to 3.
Wow.
So I was there every morning before school, every afternoon, and it got to a point where after grade 10, I knew what I wanted to do. So the only day I went to school was Wednesdays because they needed me in the school sports team. Right. So I used to. So it even got to a point where I didn't even go Wednesdays, and my manual training teacher used to pick me up from the golf club to take me to wherever the golf was being played.
That's hilarious.
So I just got to play all the time. So I had clothes at the golf club. I get dressed up in my school uniform in the morning, get in my golf gear, go home dressed in my school gear. Nobody was any wiser. Mum and Dad both worked, and I used to go home at 1 o'clock every day to intercept the mail to see if anything from the school. So there was a couple of letters from the headmaster saying that I hadn't been to school for 6 weeks, and was there a problem? Because the rest of my family were still going to school, and I told them that. I even got a friend of mine, Neville Roberts, who used to be a Channel 7 newsreader, to write me a note saying I'd be in America for 6 weeks with my parents. And so it got to a state where I was telling some real good lies. So anyway, I came home one day and Mum goes, oh, how's school been going? And I said, oh, yeah, really good, Mum. We've been doing some really tough stuff. And she goes, you lying little bugger. Yeah. She said, I've just been on the phone to your headmaster. He's been trying to contact me at work. And I said, oh. And she said, you wait until your father gets home. And Dad being in the military, whenever we got into trouble, we used to get the webbing belt with the brass buckles on it.
Really?
And so anyway, I raced into my bedroom. I put on about 3 pairs of underpants, a pair of shorts, my jeans, anything that could protect me from, a hiding. So anyway, I hear Dad come in. And he opens the door and he locks it. And I was one of 6 kids. So whenever anybody got into trouble, they'd all rush to the door just to see what was happening. So he said, Dad says to me, he says, where you been? I said, I've been at the golf course. And he said, what, every day? I said, yep. He said, you're not doing anything silly? I said, no, Dad, I practice all day, every day. And he goes, okay, that's all right. And I go, you're kidding. I'm going to get away with this. How good's this? And then he starts taking off his belt. And he said, well, your mum wants me to give you a thrashing. I said, yeah, okay. So I'm waiting for the first one. I turn around and I'm waiting for the first one. And I hear this almighty smash. And I didn't feel the thing. I think, wow, how good is this padding I put on? And I turn around and Dad's just about to give my mattress another great whack. And he just turned to me and said, if I'm going to do this, you better start yelling. So he ended up giving my mattress about half a dozen good whacks. But the worst thing about it, I couldn't come out for about an hour because I was laughing so much. So that's pretty much. And, I sort of went to work at night time so I could play during the and turn pro when I was 19. So it worked out great.
Well, Pete, for Hostplus, mate, what we'd love to know, what are you going to do in retirement? Are you just going to play golf forever? What's the story?
No, I'm getting to a point now where I think my grandkids, I've got 4 grandboys. I'm spending a lot of time with them. We've got another one on the way. So I think this is just another phase of my journey is to, provide for my kids and make sure they got everything they got.
Unbelievable.
It's been fabulous talking to you, Peter. I mean, you're a superstar human over and above your amazing golf career. Thank you so much for taking the time out. We really appreciate it, and we wish you all the best in that retirement. Hopefully you just keep on shooting your age. Thanks, Pete.
Yeah. Send our love to June and the
Thanks,
family.
Nick. Yep.
Cheers.
Certainly will. Thanks, guys. It was really good.
Good on you. Peter Senior, what a star.
Unbelievable.
And I mean it. When we say he's a better human than he is a golfer,
So good.
that is 100%, folks.
And funnily enough, in my early European tour days, we'd sit with Pete. There'd be a bunch of Aussies. We'd sit around and he'd come to dinner and he'd say, guys, this is what you need to focus on. You should be doing this, this, and this. Yeah. Incredible.
All righty. Another great episode. We appreciate it. We'll catch you next time, folks.
Talk Birdie to Me with Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen, live from Titleist and FootJoy headquarters. Titleist, the #1 ball in golf. FootJoy, the #1 shoe and glove in golf. The Golf Clearance Outlet, they beat everyone's prices. BMW, luxury and comfort for the 19th hole. Better, ahead of the game. Ping will help you play your best. And Hostplus, they can help you drive your retirement further. Now that's a plus. Issued by Hostplus Pty Limited. This is general advice. Consider the PDS and TMD on our website before deciding. Wherever you listen or watch, we'd love you to subscribe and share the pod with a friend. Talk Birdie to Me's executive producer is Dan Bradley at Kaizen Media. Sound design by Daryl Misson at loudzebra.com. And now from Titleist and FootJoy headquarters, that's been Talk Birdie to Me.
Front 9, back 9, or eyeing the 19th hole, wherever you are in life, Hostplus can help you drive your retirement further. That's a plus.